Welcome to Somewhere Through Time, a channel dedicated to those who are haunted by the past. Hey guys, I know it's been a while. I haven't posted a video in a very long time. I stumbled upon this story the other day, and it just inspired me to make another video on this channel. I have to say, I think this is my favorite reincarnation story that I've come across. This woman just seems so genuine and sincere. Not to say that others aren't genuine and sincere. I find their stories incredible and I do believe them. I just think that this woman is very humble in her quest. You know, she wasn't anybody famous. She isn't pushing reincarnation on anyone or anything like that. She just wanted to see her children again. And you know, this is exactly the sort of thing that I wanted my channel to be about. Not a spooky story channel, not a paranormal situation like, is this real or is this fiction? You know, I just wanted simple, honest people telling their stories of feeling disconnected from modern times and feeling like you belong somewhere else, and the longing of people who no longer exist. And that's what I want the message to be about. The people that you are longing for, you will see them again. Anyways, I'm talking too much. Let's get started. Today's story is about a woman named Jenny Cockel. She believes she is the reincarnation of a woman who lived in a village in Ireland over 90 years ago. From early childhood, Jenny Cockel saw nothing unusual about her vivid experiences of previous lives. Mary Sutton actually lived in a village called Malahide, just outside of Dublin. Jenny believes she was Mary Sutton in a previous life.
When I was very, very young, I had memories of a number of past lives. One of those lives, certainly the strongest of those lives, was as Mary, a mother of 8 children in Ireland. Husband, I remember working on some sort of building work, and the time period was from just before the turn of the century until the 1930s. One of the earlier memories was of standing on a jetty with the wind blowing at me, my shawl wrapped around me to try and keep warm, at dusk, waiting for a boat. And I always wondered what the boat was, what I was waiting for, because I could never remember that bit, just standing there again and again, waiting for a boat.
It was until she was like 16 that she started to allow herself to think about what had been going on. And it was about then she discovered country music and eventually Irish music, which absolutely blew her mind. She hadn't known such music existed, and she didn't realise that this was her music, this was the music she was comfortable with.
Jenny began to accept that her memories could actually be real people. She felt that she had to find out more about what she saw as her previous life. As a child, she drew maps of where she used to live. Using these, she set out to find out if the memories she felt so strongly were real.
She had the little map that she had drawn years ago, and she asked the bookseller in Towcester to get her a map of Ireland. And they both put it against the map of Malahide. The north was where it was supposed to be. The road to Dublin was the road she'd called the road to the city, I think. The road where she'd lived as Mary was there. Everything was exactly where she had said it was, which was a huge step forward for her, because it began to feel that this was right. This really was as she had always imagined it to be.
The owner of the bookshop was really quite surprised when I put my little drawing next to it, and it was a fairly accurate drawing of the main routes through the middle of Malahide. So I was then able to confirm and move on from there. The memories were right at the front of my mind, and there was no way I could spend years trying to compartmentalize them again. I couldn't shut them away again, so I had to act on it. And it's then that I realised I'd have to go to Ireland.
Jenny now knew that the answer to the mystery lay in Ireland. She had to find the village that she believed had been her home.
When I went back to Malahide, and I say back to, it was the first time I went in this body, but I was able to walk around through the village recognise things, there's a sense of belonging that it was, or had been my home. It was like going back to my hometown. It was very easy to feel comfortable in Malahide. Once I was able to find where the cottage was and confirm that these were real people, as I had always thought, all the self-doubt was washed away, and I was able to then trace the family.
Mary Sutton's short life in Malahide ended tragically at the age of 37. She left behind 5 young children who had to fend for themselves.
All of the memories that I have a sense of unfinished business. Certainly the main thing with the life in Ireland, which finished early, was that it's the separation from the children, not knowing what had happened to them, the sense of failing in my responsibility. So it was a sense of failure and guilt that carried over that I could not come to terms with.
Mary Sutton's children had been separated shortly after their mother's death. Jenny's extensive research enabled her to trace the family.
Strange when I met the children all together. I mean, they were in their sort of 60s and 70s by then. I didn't really recognise their faces very much, except Christy looked the image of his grandfather. Their characters. Frank was still very quiet and shy, and I still felt very protective towards him.
It would be many months before the family could begin to accept Jenny's incredible story. But after those first few meetings, her deep and intimate knowledge of their childhood seemed undeniable.
They would be asking me, the younger ones would be asking me where the windows were and what room they were in, and were quite happy for me to explain where things were. They were accepting that I did remember the cottage.
Sonny, the eldest son, I think was a bit taken aback by the whole thing. And in the end, he was completely convinced. He said, this woman knows things that only I know and only my mother knows. In fact, 1 or 2 things nobody else, even his brothers and sisters, didn't know.
1 or 2 of the things really took him by surprise, because there were things that nobody outside the family knew about. Nobody outside the family knew that they were poaching, certainly didn't know how they were poaching, and the detailed descriptions of where they managed to trap particular animals. So he really was quite shocked by 1 or 2 of the bits, and would turn to me and say, but how could you possibly have known that? When I met Sonny, the oldest son, he was able to explain that he used to go caddying for the golfers on the island across the inlet, and at dusk he would come across on a little rowboat, little ferry boat, back to the jetty, and hand over his earnings, some of his earnings, and his mother was always there to meet him and walk back with him.
Now, wasn't that a nice story? Alright guys, thanks for watching. See you next time. I don't know when that will be, but it will be.